a little while ago, but I still think it's worth talking about because Best Buy had a super impressive earnings in quarter two. They earned $9.9 billion in revenue. That's a really big number.
Now those stats are reported that's pre-pandemic revenue, right?
No,
quarter two earnings. When did they report quarter two and quarter three?
So quarter two earnings are reported at like around the beginning of quarter three. So quarter two, that's like April, May, June, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Maybe like the end of March. You know, because like
Yeah.
the quarters
April,
are like
May, and June. Yeah,
yeah,
April, May, and June.
and the quarters are like kind of different depending on the business. It's like a few weeks before, a few weeks after. You know, it all depends on when they do their reporting.
Right.
So this was technically during pandemic,
Gotcha.
right? So the way that they earned 9.9 billion in revenue was first the e-commerce boom. Everyone's buying stuff online now. People aren't wanting to go in stores. Stores are closing. So if you had a strong e-commerce section of your like business, that just like exploded. You know, we've seen Amazon.
I'm kind of surprised that they were able to compete in that space with e-commerce as a number one source of sales with the likes of Amazon.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think probably I think Amazon probably most definitely beat them out in quarter two. I think what it came down to was you go to Amazon, buy your tech. If Amazon is out of it, people would probably go to Best Buy, or they started at Best Buy because maybe Best Buy had better deals. You know, because Best Buy is running sales like all the time.
Well, the thing about it is that, you know, how I navigate between Amazon and Best Buy is I go to Amazon to look at price. I take that price to Best Buy. They price match Amazon's price, and I can actually get it that day, you know? So it's very interesting to me that with that model that they could rival, and that's awesome. I mean, if Best Buy's developed a good enough brand to compete in a subsection of what Amazon offers, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Their e-commerce section too is pretty strong. It's just like I think with this whole pandemic, I think we've seen like how strong it really is compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
Actually, a cool way to save time whenever you're comparing prices between Amazon and Best Buy, I have a little Chrome extension called Amazon Assistant, and whenever I go and look up something on like a website to see what the price is, Amazon Assistant will go and look that up for me, and it'll tell me the price like in the little corner of my screen. So
wow,
I always thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
But yeah, so second thing, people are working from home, obviously, so they're upgrading their home offices. So they're just, you know, buying a bunch of tech so that way they can work at home. Because I'm sure when they're at work, they have, you know, 2 monitors, keyboards, all this stuff. But when they get home, it's just like their laptop or something. You know, so they're probably working on their home offices. And then back to school is a lot different than it was last year. You know, there's a lot of kids, especially in college, working from home or schooling from home. So the parents are buying their kids all kinds of gadgets that they can use to work from home, tablets, Chromebooks, etc., whatever you would need. You know, I guess it depends on if you're, you know, let's say you're like an architect, your parents are probably buying you the digital pin pad so that way you can draw on your computer and stuff like that, which would, you know, normally be provided by a college.
Right.
So parents are buying their kids all kinds of tech, and then consumers are spending increased in July due to stimulus checks and increased unemployment benefits. You know, this is for, like, I don't know what the majority of Americans are, because there's been people that are like, oh, I didn't get my stimulus check, and there are other people that are saying yes. So the number for me seems kind of skewed in terms of how many people did it, but they're more willing to spend money because now they have this extra, you know, that's what they were for, is the extra stimulus to be put back into the world.
Right.
But it just dropped quickly after that, however, from what Best Buy was saying. So, but yeah, that's Best Buy.
That's
earning 9.9 billion in revenue. So, which is like super impressive. I don't know what they earned in quarter one. I'd be curious to see what they earned in quarter one. But
yeah, I wonder what 9.9 billion in revenue equals in profit. You know, because they got a lot of cost per sale. You know, because their overhead that they handle to do that. I mean, there's a large product cost. You know, in that type thing.
There's probably like a huge factor there too, because they closed a lot of their stores and then they moved mostly to e-commerce. So it's like, who's fulfilling the orders? Probably like UPS. And you know, if you're a big company, you usually have a deal with UPS.
Yeah.
So, but like if you're doing more inventory, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of factors into that we would have to consider and probably reevaluate, because it's probably extremely different than quarter one.
Right.
But yeah, so that was pretty impressive. So Tesla and Apple did a stock split. They did a stock split like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So Tesla did a 5-for-1 stock split. So for every stock that you had, you got 5 in return, and that stock went from $2,200 per share to about $440 when it did the split initially. And then Apple did a 4-for-1 stock split. So for every 1 stock you had, you got 4, and it dropped it to about $127 per share. So why does this matter? It encourages investors to buy more in their stocks, whether they want to buy a huge share and ride the stock for a long term, or they just want to, buy it and ride the bullish uptrend. So it's just to encourage more buying, because their stocks were getting to a point where people weren't really comfortable with buying it, so they did a split to encourage more investors.
So they needed a cash infusion, or they wanted a cash infusion. I don't know if they needed it. But this would definitely bring more people's money into their company. Yeah. For sure. Now, it's a more diluted share, right? It's not as strong of a share as it
Not anymore, but for Tesla, we'll probably see it change whenever the Roadster comes out and the Cybertruck. So when those 2 cars drop, it's obviously going to go back up. And then for Apple, their stock is low right now, but it's September, so iPhones usually get announced around September, like the Apple Watches and stuff. Apple hasn't said anything, to my knowledge. I've been looking everywhere. I can't find an answer on it. Yeah. But, they're probably...
I'm kind of handcuffed here because this, I'm definitely trying to run 2 iPhones. And I'd hate to make the change to 2 iPhone 11 Pro Pluses and then the iPhone 12 come out.
Dude, yeah, I know. That's what happened to me when I got my iPhone 7 Plus, because I got it probably a month before the iPhone 8 came out. And I didn't know that it was coming out because I didn't keep up with Apple too much. Right. So I bought that, and then the 8 came out, and it was so much better. But yeah, those shares are definitely going to go back up. And right now they're actually going down. And the reason they're going down is because you get these people that are like day trading, and they'll come in and buy the stocks, and then they'll sell them really quick. So when you get all these day traders that come in, the stock goes up because it's like, oh, there are a lot of people buying it. So the people that aren't day trading are like, oh, stock going up, let me go ahead and get in on this. And then the next day or the next couple of days, day traders will sell it, and then it'll tank. Yeah. So that's what we're seeing a lot of right now. But like, I knew that was going to happen, so I waited a week.
What a day trading heaven this market is. Yeah. I mean, if you got some formula right now that you can execute, there's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of people like touting like, day trading like major success. I guess this would be a good way to segue into TikTok. Like there's an investing TikTok, like where you just see like all these people saying, buy into this penny stock, and then they gave you this advice, and now the things like triple the value, that type thing. Like that's super interesting. Like if I had the time to like educate myself, I'd certainly want to try to get in and out the way that these guys are manipulating the markets to make a profit every day. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like, I think what I would want to do is I'd want to find like one of these investors and then go and like buy their course, just so that way I can get into like whatever chat they're using. Because I've seen a lot of these like day traders, they're using Discord as like a chat room. Yeah. And they'll put like bots into those Discords that track markets, and they'll, I guess they have like their formula so they can tell you when to buy and sell stuff. Right. So then you just create this team of people who are like buying and selling all the same stock, and then, if you get
pump and dump.
If you get too many people in there, it'll just totally skew the market. Yeah. If you get too many people like that, it's crazy.
Definitely.
But